not being able to manage the outcome of everything or anything at this point. My name is Angela.
Hi, Angela.
We never tested my sound.
Glad you're here.
I hope it's okay.
I think it's okay.
My mic is quite literally...
I hear you in my ear.
Right.
I hear you.
Okay, good.
So that means they can hear you.
Yes, excellent.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus. I struggle with drugs, alcohol, lust, food issues, and hitting record. I hit record tonight, so I did good with that. That's good. Anyway, my name's Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Hey. Glad you guys are here.
A fun little show for you tonight. Show? I don't know, service, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know.
A little, the hour. We're going to be talking about the importance of building relationships in Celebrate Recovery in lieu of a leadership interview. We're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to get to hear from a couple of different people. It should be a lot of fun. So that should be fun. Let's do a few announcements before we get started. We've had a lot of questions about when we're going to get back in person. We are not quite ready to do that yet. And there's a lot of different factors as to why. New Heights Church is the church that is hosting our Celebrate Recovery, or that we are involved with. They are doing their first in-person service next Sunday morning. If you don't have a home church or a church service, we'd love for you to join us at New Heights Church. There will be a 9 o'clock service and an 11 o'clock service. You do have to check in for one of those online. Also, we will still be doing our New Heights Church online service if you're not ready to do in person yet. It will be social distancing measures, face masks, and all the things, and there also is childcare. And so because our Celebrate Recovery meets there, we kind of just want the church to kind of roll out a few weeks of their in-person services, because they're going to be using, because they're so spread out, more space, and we want to see how it kind of all goes together with the equipment, where it goes, what rooms get used, and then hopefully we will be putting a plan together to possibly start doing either an in-person service or at least start rolling step studies back out. They will be social distancing with masks, with a little bit smaller of a group.
All the stuff.
We're working that out. I send out a weekly email to everyone, and so if you're not on our email list and you want to get the updates, please message me your email address and I can send those to you, and that will include a plan as soon as we come together with one, or we'll continue to give that announcement online. I think that's all I really have. There are a few Celebrate Recoveries in the Northwest Arkansas area that are meeting. CLC, that's Christian Life Cathedral, has a Tuesday night in-person service. It starts at 6:30. That's over off Millsap in Fayetteville. And then Friday night, Fellowship Bible Church. What's that highway road over there by the movie theater and Sam's Club?
I want to say 112 or something.
I don't remember it, but it's Fellowship Bible Church on Friday nights. They have one that's at 7 o'clock, and I do believe both of those are doing social distancing. I think Trinity might also be doing one on Monday nights.
I can post it. I'll look the address up.
Okay.
For Fellowship Bible.
Monday nights, Brad and Angela Klein are over there leading one, and I believe they're doing social distancing. So there are a few in-person ones available if you do want to do in-person, or we'll continue to meet you right here at 6 o'clock on Sundays live from our upstairs extra room.
Yeah, 112.
So that's Highway 112.
I'm gonna
Perfect.
copy it.
Chad's going to copy and paste.
Yep. I'll put it in there in
Bible
just a
Church's
second.
address into the comments. Okay, so now we're going to do the thing we do every week, which is read the 12 steps.
I'm so close to having it, I think.
Chad's favorite thing to do. I would reach over and press his buttons on his little
she
production
can't, though.
thing
she
over there.
doesn't know how to do it.
I don't have a clue. There's a lot of things I trust Chad
I think
to
I can
do.
do it here.
Okay.
Give me it.
Do
there we
it.
go.
He's doing it now.
Fellowship.
No, just post it. Just go. I bet our...
Okay, I just sent it.
Our amazing, incredible production assistant.
What are we doing now? The adventure.
Has already posted it.
I'm excited for this.
Okay, here we go.
We're going to do...
Are you going to read first?
I'll read first. I still think that the first one is the hardest, but I feel strong tonight. I'm feeling...
Please feel free
I'm
at
feeling
home
like
or
I've got
wherever
this.
you are, on vacation, from your car, from the beach, from a hammock at the park, wherever.
The mountains. People are all over the place right now.
Feel free to read along with us. The verse, we'll read the steps.
Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over our addiction and compulsive behaviors, and that our lives had become unmanageable. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. Romans 7:18.
Step 2.
Let me see. There you go.
We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
For it is God who works in you to will and act according
to fulfill His good purpose. Philippians 2:13. I just
we got to number 2.
Every time I read the word sanity, I think about how insane most of us are in recovery, trying to live the healthiest life possible. We do need to be restored to sanity.
Step 3. We made a decision to turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Romans 12:1.
Brilliant. Step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves and sometimes of our spouses.
Whoa.
Let us examine our ways and test them,
and let us return to the Lord. Lamentations 3:40. All right, here we go. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. James 5:16.
Step 6. We are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up. James 4:10. Step 7. We humbly asked Him to remove all our shortcomings.
If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. Step 8. We made a list of persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Luke 6:31.
Give me 1 second here. Moving around. Step 9. Lots of words here. We made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. Luke 6:31. I miss doing that in person because everybody always gets off because it's
That's
so long.
the longest one. Like
It's
a whole group
forever
of
long.
50 or 60 people have to try to read that together, and everyone's pacing is off. And by the time it's done, the room is just
Luke 6:31:11.
kerfuffle. What's the right
I
word?
don't know.
Cacophony. Cacophony.
Cacophony?
Cacophony of sound.
Oh, that's a big word. Step.
Is it mine?
It's your turn.
Step
It's your turn.
10. We continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Sorry, I was wrong a minute ago.
Good job.
Okay, so if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 1 Corinthians 10:12.
All right. Step 11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Let the message of Christ, the message of Christ,
dwell among you richly. Colossians 3:16. I apologize again promptly. I was wrong.
I was
dwell
too. I
in
messed up
Christ,
there too.
merged together into Dreist.
Somehow this is not as serious as maybe it should be. Go ahead. Step 12.
I apologize. Finishing off, rounding third with step 12. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others to practice these principles in all of our affairs.
Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you may also be tempted. Galatians 6:1.
That is the 12 steps for tonight.
Man, I think we did okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give us a 6,
I did say the word
maybe.
Dreist in place
Dreist.
of... I don't know what
I
that
don't know what
even
happened
is.
there. Man.
But I threw in the word cacophony, which I think
that was good. Cacophony. That's a lot. That's a
large
lot.
word for a
That's
Sunday
a big deal there.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Go ahead. You have something you want to say?
The Crosstown Band's coming up.
I know they're going to be here in just a second.
I'm excited about it.
I know. Me too. I like the Crosstown
Justin
Band.
does a great job.
He does. But first, we should talk about chips and other things. Do you think we should do that now?
You go ahead.
Okay. Well, if you guys have a celebration chip, if there's something you're celebrating tonight, if you got 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, a year, multiple years, and you would like to throw it in the comments, we'd love to celebrate with you, give you thumbs ups and hearts and all that stuff. Here, I'll do those right now. And then we'll just kind of mail you the chip. I think if you give us an address through, you can either private message us to Celebrate Recovery at New Heights Church, where we're watching it, the page we're on, and we can send it to you that way. But man, we'd love to celebrate with you and hear about your victory, hear about your success. Also, just let us know if there's anything you need. I mean, in general, I think this is a random thought, but I was just thinking about the food bank and kind of we transitioned some of that out. But if you have a need or if there's something going on with COVID, I know this has gone on for a long time, longer than probably any of us hoped. And sometimes the length of it, maybe at first you were doing great, but now you're not. And if that's the case and you need something or you need help, food, assistance, whatever it is, just reach out. You can message us that also.
Yeah.
So
we would love to be able to help.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have resources outside of just the basic, like if you need a bill paid, if you need food, if you need somebody to deliver food because you tested positive, you can't leave your house. Yeah. We've had a few situations where that happened, and we needed to arrange getting groceries dropped off. If you like Chad said, are at a place where you need to talk to somebody, we can refer you to a therapist at the Joshua Center because you're part of Celebrate Recovery at New Heights Church. So there are a lot of options. We want to be able to help get them to you. You just got to ask us.
Reach out if you need something, and we'd love to celebrate with you. Let's kick it over to the Crosstown Dan.
Something's broken. I need your help. I can't fix this on my own. My heart is prone to wander far, but you call me to your arms. I fall at your feet again. Here's my heart again, Lord, I am yours. And I run with my chains undone, all because the love that you have shown. And I hear mercy calling, it's at your feet I'm falling. Jesus, I surrender all. Your kindness leads me to the light. No fear, no shame, I can't hide. You bore the nails, you wore the scars. I'm safe in your arms. At your feet again, here's my heart again, Lord, I am yours. I run with my chains undone, all because the love that you have shown. When I hear mercy calling, it's at your feet I'm falling. Jesus, I surrender all. And all to Jesus I surrender, humbly at your feet I bow. These earthly pleasures all forsaken, here's my life, I lay it down. And all to Jesus I surrender, humbly at your feet I bow. These earthly pleasures all forsaken, here's my life, I lay it down. And I fall at your feet again, here's my heart again, Lord, I am yours. And I run with my chains undone, all because the love that you have shown. When I hear mercy calling, it's at your feet I'm falling. Jesus, I surrender all. Jesus, I surrender all. The rejects, the dropouts, those used to being passed by. The addicts, the burned out, lost their way so many times. There's a room at his table for you. There's a room at his table for you. 'Cause his mercy is new with the morning. Even when you sleep through the day. And if you're too drunk to notice, he'll hold your hand till you wake. Stressed out, the worry is terrified of right now. Wandering, the hurry, don't know how to slow down. There's a room at his table for you. There's a room at his table for you. 'Cause his mercy is new with the morning. Even when you can't sleep at night. And if you're too anxious to notice, he'll hold your hand while you cry. And through the tears we'll sing hallelujah. How can it be you're not too tired to keep holding on to me? Hallelujah. How can it be you're not too tired to keep holding on to me?
Well, Angela just got back. That's good. She barely made it.
I did.
She's running in, coming in hot. Thank you, Justin. Man, you guys notice the art every week? It's incredible.
Outside with the fire on the porch, matching the. I mean,
it's great. I really appreciate
fancy.
it. Yep.
We got bougie worship. I like it a lot.
I know, and he's got the little torch in the background, and I'm checking
So
it out.
good. Man, we
It's
appreciate
a
you.
good look. And Jennifer, I'm like, Angela, do they have art hanging outside their house? Maybe I'm just dense.
Maybe.
She's like, she thinks I'm dense a little bit sometimes. But I'm like, she's like, there's no way they don't have that art hanging outside. They set that scene up, man. They do a lot of work to make it look right. So I gotta say,
we don't have these
I appreciate that.
banners up in our house all the time. We set them up special for you.
For you.
That's what we do.
You folk. The banners are kind of sitting here though.
They are. Well, they just,
but
doesn't really
We're
matter.
not doing as anyway. Well, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Tonight, we're going to talk about the importance of building relationships. And here is why. Exactly what Chad said earlier before we started worship. The idea that nobody anticipated that this pandemic was going to last this long, or what it was going to look like. There was probably a slight hope that at some point after a little brief time things would go back to normal, but now we're starting to realize that normality is a dream.
Dream.
What is
it's a
normal?
facade. It's an illusion.
Yeah, and so
Normality
things that
is
were convenience.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've talked about grief already. Early on, we talked about grief and having to grieve convenience. It is no longer convenient. The other day, I walked into Dollar General and I wasn't paying attention, and I walked into people were giving me the stink eye, and I didn't know why, and multiple people did. And I was like halfway into the store, just running in quick to get what I wanted when I realized I didn't even put my mask on. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I ran back out of the store and got my mask. And I thought, I got to get used to that. That's required. And I probably was about to get the hotline called on me.
Hotline.
Nobody needs that.
You're in Greenland though. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's still, I got some stink eyes.
Yeah.
So anyway, we really want to talk about the importance.
I got my stink out.
The importance of building relationships, and we're not just talking about accountability. We're not just talking about a sponsor, although those are extremely important. The idea is when you come to Celebrate Recovery and you first get started, we've talked about the 5 strategies. We've talked about a lot of the lessons throughout the books this summer season online. And we've even said, if you don't, it works if you work it. If you don't work it, if you just come and you're not intentional, that's a word that I think is so important to consider in recovery. If you're not intentional about saying yes and about building relationships, then you can be in recovery for a long time and never really experience the change that you want or that you came for. And so part of the process is definitely coming on Sunday night, or showing up in community like this until we get in person again, going to open share, sharing your story, listening to others. That is how at least social relationships are formed. Going to step study. But there are often opportunities, like I know in almost every step study that I've led, we would do a thing on Wednesdays. If we had a step study, we always would go to, what's the place that has the free pies? That place.
Village Inn.
That's right. So we would do free pie Wednesdays after step study and give everybody an opportunity. And we would even talk about, I know that there were a few people in one of my step studies that had food issues. And so at one end of the table, there were like 3 of us and we drank water. And then it was like the coffee people and then the pie eaters were at the other end. But we all hung out together and made provision so that we could, outside of step study, start building friendships, start building relationships. I know at New Heights, we tried to have these fellowship events where we would go to baseball games, go to the lake, have a barbecue, do a bonfire. We're coming up on the month where we normally do our annual bonfire, and thinking, man, it's going to really be a bummer
if we can't,
because we can't, what that's going to look like. But even outside of those scheduled, planned events that we try to make community easy, what it looks like to actually say, hey, you want to grab coffee this week, to someone.
Yeah.
Not to go over my inventory, not because I need accountability, not because I need you or you need me for a thing, but just to hang out, just to build a friendship. It's hard for us to replace the bad relationships that we had with nothing. We have to be intentional about building relationships that are going to replace the value of the time we spent in some of those other relationships. Yeah. So that's really the topic of tonight. And as I was thinking through it, I was like, you know what? A couple of weeks ago, when Chad talked about in the 5 categories, we talked about
community,
replacing, and community, but we talked about replacing things, and somebody even posted, man, it's hard to come up with things. And so I made a note of who does this well in our community.
Good for you.
This is my Post-it that I'm going to refer to.
I can't read that. It's pretty small.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to talk about a few that things.
I was just like.
No. I was like, there's going to be too much going on in this for me to remember what they are, so just in case.
Okay.
I bet as I say this, you're going to come up with a few on your own that weren't even on this list.
All right.
As a matter of fact, I already am thinking of a few that are outside this. Okay, so let's see. A couple years ago in Springdale, there was a Wing Fest that happened, and I remember a few people got online outside of a CR event. I think it was like Caitlin and Alan and Dana, I'm going to use first names, and said, hey, who's going? And so there was a whole group of them that went. Chad went too. I don't like wings. I didn't go, but they all went and had a really good time.
We did have a good time.
And ate a lot of wings.
I want to go eat more wings.
It was not a CR event. It was not an intentional must work on inventory event. It was just a let's hang out and do something fun that we appreciate together. We have two incredible leaders, Heather and Becky. They've both been step study leaders before. About maybe a year ago, Heather was telling me, she was like, I think I want to take an art class. And she asked Becky, a friend of hers, to go. And they went to Crystal Bridges and they took like a 3-week art class where they went together and had a good time. Just last weekend, actually, this is when I didn't get permission, so she can be mad at me later. Or you can just, if you follow her on Facebook, already know the story. Janie, who is one of our leaders, had to go to Colorado for a wedding and found some other friends who are also in Celebrate Recovery, Leslie, one of our leaders, and she traveled with her and they had a blast all the way along the way.
Yeah.
And so the intentional...
Cadillac Ranch was a bit of a letdown, though.
I think that's what she said.
Anyway.
You can, if you follow her on Facebook. The idea is, yes, when you get into Celebrate Recovery, you want to do the step study, do the open share, do meet for accountability, do go over your inventory with your sponsor. But if you only do that, there's still a part that you're missing. And that's building relationships with people who are in process, who understand authentic, vulnerable lives, who are trying to also build space into their life, into their time, so that they can have that thing that they need to replace too. And those friendships are great. I think about a few other scenarios. I know Jennifer and Janelle talk about this incredible time they had at the Fayetteville prayer room praying together. And that's even, Janelle shares part of how she got a hold of Celebrate Recovery, because Jennifer was sharing how great that story was and the things that she was learning. She, in a friendship capacity, was just doing life with somebody else in her community. And that friendship is great and such a good example of what is needed to really get something like this community to download into your life. Okay, other things I have. Fellowship Bible Church, we were there for a while, but it was kind of as we were leaving happening. Craig Duffy started a bicycle club, and so many of those guys, I mean, Greg is one of them. He comes and teaches for us all the time. They had the shirts made up. These are examples.
Jerseys, I think they call
jerseys,
them.
We have somebody who's staying with us. She is so great about saying, hey, today I'm going to go to the park and play tennis. Who wants to come? And even just seeing this week, somebody was like, hey, I'd love to play. Intentional friendships that are building, that are required for us to have healthy community. This is a season of loneliness. This is a season of isolation. This is a season where it is not convenient for people to just happen to bump into each other on Sunday night and that be where we get our social fix,
community
relationship that we all need in this process. And so we really wanted to take a Sunday night and go, hey, we want to encourage you that this is an important part that maybe we don't highlight enough in our books, or maybe we don't highlight enough in the process. And that
I think we took it for granted, Ange. I
totally agree.
I think we took for granted that we could get together and hang out and spend time together. And you know, Sunday nights was a big deal. I mean, for me, it was just like that was the place where I got to see some of the people that I hung out with and kind of engage with people. Most of my week is, I mean, I hate to say this, a lot of my week is pretty busy, and it feels like it's really focused on other people and kind of doing and going and even my schedule a lot of times feels like it's kind of out of my hands a little bit. Like I'm just going and doing the next thing. Yeah. And so Sunday night, it kind of felt like, okay, this is a thing where I can go hang out, and I'm still going to work. I mean, it was still work a little bit, but I would hang out with people and we would talk and we'd kind of just, and even open share, just the idea of like, hey, you just go in there and talk about what you want for 5 minutes. And there's not an agenda. And I think that I like what you're getting at with the not having an agenda, right? Like getting together with somebody, not for the inventory or not for just to say, hey, let's hang out, let's do something, and not have a ton of pressure.
The hard part about Sunday night, sorry, my mic keeps pulling, was even on Sunday night, I think for me, setting up the chairs, setting up the tables, eating a meal together, that's kind of like just tasks you can do while you're connecting with people. But that was an easy way for me to check in with 8 or 10 people. How you doing? Have little side conversations. How was your week? What's going on? And man, that just doesn't happen anymore. And so having to be really, for me, even having a list of, okay, I've got to rotate. For me, there's 60 people who I want to check in on, and so I have to like rotate through who I can text and check in on. I often feel overwhelmed. I'm like, how do I lead everybody? It was so much easier when everybody just showed up. That was like then I could just text somebody who wasn't there like, hey, we missed you, or I hope you're well. Instead, it's like, text everybody. It's really hard. That's why I do the weekly email. But just having to be intentional about, hey, let's hang out together. Hey,
Yeah.
I'd love to spend time with you. What it looks like to not be lonely. Lonely is the key here that I want to kind of push up against, that it's one of our step study questions. Is loneliness a choice? And I used to think, no, just people don't love me or whatever the insecure thing. Getting to a place where I can go, I don't have to be lonely. I actually can make an effort. I actually can build relationships that are lasting. And so a couple more that I was thinking about, Broken Chains is that bicycle club. I know that the event that that fellowship did on a regular basis, and New Heights even did a few years in a row, was the canoe trip.
Canoe trip, yeah.
That was an event, but I always love to see the night before the canoe trip, like 5 or 6 CR families would camp up at the dam, the campsite at the dam store.
Below the dam or whatever, yeah.
And so do you camp? Do you hike? Do you play tennis? Do you bicycle? Do you ride a motorcycle? Do you like barbecue? Do you eat wings? Sometimes the girls will go to a movie night. I mean, there are so many opportunities that it's hard to say, oh, there's just nothing available, or there's just no one available, because there are so many people who are looking for this. So I want to cut to a couple of people who
Well, let's throw one up.
Do you want to say anything else before we do?
I mean, I just think I do. I think, but I'm just kind of going, this is so important, you guys, that we find a way to engage with people without purpose in some way. I mean, without, like, other than relationship. If we don't have relationships, we start to look for something, which I think will then trigger kind of relapse.
Yeah.
And so just having relationship, having people around you. And I know some people are really, really good at this. Some people are really good at, like, reaching out to people or engaging with people. And I think of a couple people that even in CR that are really good at this. But I think there are a lot of people who it's hard to reach out. It's hard to go get that relational kind of component in your life. And so, I don't know.
I keep thinking of it when I was thinking about, even this morning, one of our leaders called and asked if we needed help next Sunday morning. We're having our in-person service at New Heights, and it's a ministry fair, so Celebrate Recovery is going to have a table. If you are at our in-person New Heights church service next Sunday morning, please come by and say hi to Chad and I. Or if you want to represent Celebrate Recovery with a mask, come, you can join us. But he was letting us know, and he was having breakfast with one of his co-step study leaders. Not for any reason except that they missed each other and wanted to grab breakfast. And it was just another thing that made me go, oh, that's a good one.
Yep.
And I was even thinking about some of our women's leaders, like Lisa, Leslie, Hava. They have a book club, and they get together and they read a book, and they hang out, and they cook a dinner, and they have intentional friendship. And it's really important. Even there are people who come in and go, oh, I want to be a part of that group that's been there for 6 years. And that's hard to do. You have to be intentional about starting kind of your own group or your own friendship and see how they grow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Bailey, and when she came in, and then Sarah, I know a few people are watching, so I want to use first names. And then Sweet Linden who is now in Florida or maybe Pennsylvania. I'm not sure. She travels a lot. But we started getting together just because they were like, hey, let's hang out. And they even called us the Bird Group. I know a few of you remember us all hanging out together. And that friendship is so valuable for people, not only to feel acceptance, but to know I'm not just here for recovery. I'm here for self-care and health and relationships and building that. Okay, so I knew that tonight's topic was going to be this. And all of these ideas started coming to me about who was doing this. And so I reached out to a few people and impromptu said, hey, send me a quick video. You have done this well. And so who do we have up first?
Kathy.
Okay, so here is a great story. Kathy is going to share a little bit of just how she came in and was intentional about building great friendships. So let's hear from Kathy.
Let's do it.
Hi, Forever Family. My name's Kathy, and I want to share about 2 really special friendships in my life. I started recovery about 3 years ago, and I found myself with a lot of free time on my hands. It was kind of driving myself crazy. So I began to reach out to other women that I had met at Celebrate Recovery. Mama Jen was one. She related to one aspect of my recovery story. And for a season, I spent a lot of time at her house. She listened to me vent. She listened to me cry, and she cried with me and spoke truth to me when I was off kilter and was saying crazy things, she would nudge me back in the other direction. And if you don't know her, she's hilarious. And she made me laugh in a season there was not much to laugh about. So I'm grateful for Mama Jen. And my other friend, Ashley, is a little bit younger, and she related to another aspect of my recovery journey. She had a little bit more time on her hands, and we would just talk during the day when we needed to. We would reach out to one another when we needed prayer or encouragement. I would do stuff with her family. She has a beautiful little boy who would just make me laugh. And so I'm grateful for these two friends and many others that have helped me on my recovery journey. Thanks for letting me share.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks,
Thank
Kathy.
you, Kathy,
Yep.
for doing that for us. I know I called some people today and said, hey, do it real quick if you're having a good hair day. She's like
Good hair day.
volunteering, and she said yes. But I just love
The next
her.
one has great hair.
Yes.
I'm
We'll get
just
to that
saying,
one in
anyway.
a second. But thank you, Kathy, for sharing the, for her to say I came in and I had time and I had to be intentional about reaching out. And so that's one aspect of it. We have a few different varieties that we're going to share with you. But Kathy was intentional. That's one of the reasons why I called and asked her is because I saw that happening. She was making an intentional effort of calling people. I mean, she very early on came to me as a leader and said, tell me what I need to do. Tell me how the program works. And that was something we said, build accountability, build relationships, get with the sponsor, work the program. And she did incredible at it, which is why not only is she a great leader, but just a good example of what we're trying to pitch tonight. It's hard because it's a little bit unfair. It doesn't just happen. A sponsor doesn't just appear. You have to make the ask, and sometimes a sponsor isn't available, which is scary because you could get rejected, but you still have to. Part of this process is making the effort of doing that building, especially when we have trust issues. A lot of us do. I and me statements. I came in to recovery with trust issues, had intimacy issues, building friendships. Like, how deep do I want to build this friendship, because at some point you're going to get to know me and not like me anymore or reject me. That's scary. And so this is a process that is really healthy for our recovery. Okay, anything else you want to?
No, it's great.
Okay, so the next one, a slightly different example, and this happens in CR also. We have incredible leaders and incredible people who will say, oh, there's a new person, or oh, that person is getting plugged in, and will make the ask. And if you get asked to go to a movie, to go to Wing Fest, to do something, you have an opportunity to whether to say yes or to say no. And so let's listen to this next great little testimonial.
Yep.
Hey guys, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with anger, depression, and codependency, and my name is Jonathan. I want to tell you guys about a time that I decided to say yes. So Chad had actually just started, I guess, biking. He just gotten a new road bike, and I was kind of back and forth and didn't know quite that I wanted to dive into that, but Chad had approached me and said, hey man, let's go for a ride someday. And he had reached out one day and to go on a quick ride, and deep down I said no. Internally I said no, but I decided to say yes, and not only did that help me help my health and take me on a health journey, but it also helped me mentally, and I needed that. I needed to step out of my boundaries and just say yes, and it was a huge impact.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank
Man,
you.
I need to get on my bike more.
And invite people.
I know, invite people too. It's hard, you guys. Last fall we had like 4 or 5 of us that would get together and go ride, and some of us, it was one of those things where it was like the one time we got together with other guys throughout the week without any kind of intentional reason, right? We just hung out to hang out, so it was a good thing. So I need to get that back together. I know we're going into fall, but I think COVID kind of messed it up this year. I don't want to make an excuse, but it just, like, right when I started trying to ride again, it didn't go. So.
Roller derby was another one. Bailey.
Roller derby, that's a great
Jen,
one.
Hava,
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing to
Somebody
say.
broke their arm or something, didn't they?
I don't think so. Oh, maybe Bailey hurt
did.
herself.
I can't remember.
But at any rate, there are things like this that you can get plugged into. And I remember Chad going, I think I want to go on a bike ride with the guys. And I mean, this is like every wife probably does this in a very codependent way of us. We're like, make guy friends, go hang out with healthy, good guys that are going to be good. you know, so when he said, hey, I want to do this, I was like, yes, that's awesome. But just to hear Jonathan's story, and he had kind of shared it with us before, that not only was saying yes something he had to choose, he had to be intentional about it. I mean, you just heard him say, I didn't really want to say yes. I wasn't too sure about it, but I was like, yes. And then he is like, loves biking now, and it's been really good for him. And that's really incredible. That is the best case scenario when not.
And he's better at it than me.
Oh, well.
I don't think he even likes to go with me anymore because he's so much faster than me.
He's a serious biker now.
He's good at it.
Keep
but it is. It's one of those things where like we all kind of, I think it says, spur each other on to good deeds. Yeah. And it's like kind of by getting together and doing some things, it's like we spur each other on. We allow each other to be better.
Yeah.
When we kind of get together, when we work with each other, when we show up for each other, we get better. And that's what this is all about. I think isolation is the devil's playground, kind of. We get alone, and then we get alone with our thoughts, and then we kind of just lose ourselves, sort of. And so being with people, engaging with people is the best place for me to be.
It's
anyway.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got another example that I really love. Okay, so Kathy's example was she came in and really was intentional about reaching out. Jonathan's example, he came in, he got asked, and he had to say yes. So that's two kind of examples of being intentional about building relationships. Celebrate Recovery, I think, builds opportunity for us to build relationship through open share, through weekly coming on Sunday nights, or whatever night it is that you participate in, through step study. And so this next example is from somebody who I was on leadership with at Fellowship, and I love this group because these were my ladies when I was there at Fellowship. Quite a few of them. One of them I co-led a step study with. One of them was in one of my step studies. One of them I used to co-lead open share with on Friday nights. And so that's a hard thing about when I launched, when we started our Celebrate Recovery at New Heights, I kind of had to say goodbye to a lot of great relationships, but have built so many more here I love. But this was a good example for me of a group of women who met in step study, and then this amazing friendship just continued. And so I want to take just a second to hear from Melody. Let's hear from her.
Hey, I am a grateful believer in Jesus, and I struggle with relationship issues, food issues, and fear. My name is Melody. Hey, I wanted to quickly tell you about my experience forming some intentional friendships as part of the Celebrate Recovery ministry. So I've been involved with the ministry for more than a decade, and a number of years ago, a small group of women and I led a step study together. And this group of 4 women, we have continued to connect over those years. Regularly, we do a quarterly retreat and get together at least monthly and just relax and have fun and support each other. It's the most unusual friendship group of my life, and it's such a wonderful, strong group of friends. And I really think it's interesting how God has woven those friendships together from this place of our brokenness and our ability to support each other and be vulnerable with each other. I can be real with these women. Wow. At a level that I can't even fully express to you. And that is the richness and the depth of these friendships that are grounded in Christ. I actually had an opportunity recently, not the opportunity I would choose, but an opportunity to ride out the landfall of a Category 2 hurricane on a girls' trip with these women. Thanks, Hurricane Sally. We had planned a beach trip for 2 years, and Hurricane Sally was quite a surprise visit. If you're going to evacuate from the 32nd story of a building with no power and no elevators down to the 12th floor, 20 stories, if you're going to evacuate down the stairs, carrying things up and down, you're going to want to do that with people that you really trust and care about. And we did so. We still had a great time. Even though it was terrifying and even though it was not the trip we planned, it was still wonderful.
Awesome. So
30, what floor were they on?
They were like the 32nd floor.
Or 12? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, that's before they can get to ground level. So 20 stories they had to carry their stuff down, and there were 4 of them. I can imagine, because I know them, that there was probably a tinge of fear, and Luann is the mama bear, and so she probably like made sure everything went okay. But the amount of laughter that I'm sure was included in
it was
that
probably awesome.
was incredible. You can follow Melody on TikTok. I don't know anything about any of that, but I know that she did these like weather reports, fake hurricane weather reports that were pretty hilarious. And so as I was putting just kind of tonight's talk together, I thought, you know what? This is another example. We heard from Kathy, who said, I came in and I was intentional. We heard from Jonathan, who said, I came in and I got asked. And now hearing from Melody, she said, I was in a step study and friendships formed out of that step study. 6 years later, they still are intentional about getting together quarterly, going on trips together. That doesn't just happen. That is something that is required for you to actually invest in. Just as I'm going through this, I think about who does this well. Leslie, Hava, Lisa, Janie, they all go to Branson for Janie's birthday. It's always during a week I can't go, so I feel like I need to get better at saying yes to that kind of thing. But like that, go to Branson, have breakfast, go to the outlet malls, no inventory, no one in process.
I don't think they ever even buy anything.
Not to say, I'm sure they buy things.
Do they?
Yes, I bet they get the coupons and all the things.
Oh,
Not to say that when something comes up for any of these friendships, any of these examples, that you don't get into process if you need to. Just even listening to Kathy say that Mama Jen helped her in that time of need, steer clear. And I was just thinking about Greg Moore and Craig Duffy at Fellowship when Craig, he crashed his bike or fell off his bike and had to go through some pretty intense physical therapy. And Greg was one of the main guys that was there for him, helping him with the stuff that he needed. These bonds that happen when we share our deepest stuff with people they're called trauma bonds, but they're like really intense. Like if you have heard all my stuff and still know me, you're more likely to be let in if I'm having a hard time. And that's what we're really talking about. So that's what we kind of wanted to pitch tonight. Just that you would be thinking about, do I have not just community? Obviously, community is important through church, through Celebrate Recovery, have accountability, have a sponsor, great. But do I have good friendships that I'm investing in? Am I building relationship that is time that we get together and hang out and just do life together and have a good time together? That is something that you would do if you weren't in CR. CR is great to bring people together who have hurts, habits, and hang-ups, and we want to have a journey of getting healthy. But we also want to learn how to kind of just live and just like before we were in CR, or people who aren't in CR that have friendships, that hang out, people in CR can do that too. It just takes a little bit of a switch in our brain to go, hey, let's just hang out. No strings attached. It's hard for us sometimes to do this. If we invite someone over, somebody hangs out with us, it's like, are there going to be strings? I mean, like it's tricky. We have to learn what hat to put on because we're always available to help somebody if they're in need.
Strings.
But
I think people think when we invite you over, you're going to have to work on our house.
Or I'm going to ask.
I'm kind of using that one as an example. Or I'm going to ask
you a hard question about your heart. Maybe I need to not do that as much.
Well, but I'm just saying, like,
just come over and I won't ask you any questions. That might seem awkward too, though. Yeah,
well, I think what I'm saying though is like, but people come over and it's like we don't always ask hard questions about their heart. But I'm like, that we've got a task, and me and Angela do a lot of stuff. And I think, honestly, for a lot of the guys that I've hung out with, like they come over and we work on something, or we do something, or we cut a tree down,
or
we
kind of hanging out for us though.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's kind of a fun thing sometimes. Or they park a car in my backyard. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen. But I'm like, logistically,
RTV's throwing you under.
I wasn't even saying his name. I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, like, no, we're engaged with each other, right? And it doesn't have to be about coffee or a dinner or Branson or wings or just hang out. Do life together.
What we do in our spare time is rebuild our old farmhouse. So if you get invited to come and help us, that's actually us including you in our life.
That's how we hang out.
Yes.
Some people are like, oh, this seemed. What if we mess it up? You can't. It's already messed up.
No. This weekend we had friends over and we watched the football game while we foamed, caulked, and put in windows. Like it was.
We were putting.
Like we were watching LSU lose while I was caulking windows and sealing them, quite literally. Chad was like, putting mini blinds back up, and the Hogs were losing.
Yeah.
So
it was a rough afternoon for football. And anyway,
watch a football game together. That's another one.
Getting together intentionally to say, hey, I could do this on my own. A lot of the work that we do at our house, we could do this on our own, but we like to have people around, not just for a hand, not just so they can do the work or something. That's not even the goal of having people over. It's that we could have people with us so we could just share life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is missing right now for so many people. We're in this isolated kind of state, and I think we kind of bump into the people we work with or whatever, but I'm like, really having a bit of community with people that you care about, that you know are on the same journey with you, it's important, man. I can't say enough about that. There's some research that even says you live longer if you have good community.
Yeah.
I say some. The research shows that you live longer if you have community.
Not just plants, although plants help too. And then even when people come over, we love to feed them, have a meal together, come over and eat and just hang out.
Plants count. Plants don't count. You need somebody to respond to you anyway. And I'm not just talking about a spouse. I'm talking about in general.
No, there's some sort of research about you live longer if you have plants. But you're right. That's not what I mean.
Plants don't count. I'm taking a stand.
Even if you name them and love them and play the music. No.
I think the plant probably lives longer.
Okay, that's it. See, these examples keep coming up. When we had live music at the AMP, we have taken several of you or gone with several of you to concerts at the AMP. Hava, Bailey, the Lehmans. We've had a good time.
All right.
We're throwing the flag on all the examples we give, how much community is out there, how much fun relationship building activities
right now,
are available.
Is that they're not available. So how are we going to do it right now?
Go on a hike.
Oh, that's
I've got extra bug spray if you need it.
We need to get some people together.
We do.
We need to have a bonfire.
Dun, dun, dun. Stay tuned for announcements.
And I'll grill some wings.
Next week. Okay, so we have a fun little serenity prayer planned. Oh, no, it's time to go actually back to Justin.
We got worship, man.
I know, sorry. I'm excited about the serenity prayer because it's fun too. It goes right along with what we're doing. But first, we're going to kick it crosstown.
If you have something you would like to take a blue chip for, if there's something going on that you're saying, hey, I need to lay this down, I need to give up on this thing, or maybe it's just a commitment. I mean, I think you can use a blue chip for a lot of things, whether it's like to say, you know, once a week I'm going to make sure I engage with somebody without a plan other than to hang out. Or if you take a blue chip to say, you know what, I've struggled with drugs and alcohol. That's fine too. I mean, and say I'm going to try to start over in that way. Take a blue chip. Let us know if you want to in the comments. We'll mail you one, or you can message us if you'd rather do it that way. But we want to make that available to you and just say, hey, you're not alone. One of the ways to kind of really start the journey of change is to let people know, hey, I'm changing. And that's what a blue chip is all about. So we will kick it over to the Crosstown Band. And if you'd like a blue chip, you can message us or you can post it in the comments. Or if you missed a celebration
chip in the first round, feel free to post any sobriety dates or anniversary dates that you have.
All right.
Come out of hiding, you're safe here with me. No need to cover what I already see. You've got your reason, but I hold your peace. You've been on lockdown, and I hold the key. 'Cause I loved you before you knew what was love, and I saw it all. Still I chose the cross, and you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, the victory's yours. I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far home. And I'll be your lighthouse when you're lost at sea. And I will illuminate everything. No need to be frightened by someone else. loved you before you knew what was love. I saw it all, still I chose the cross. And you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, victory's yours. And I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far home. Know as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. Know as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. Oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. Oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. 'Cause I loved you before you knew what was love, and I saw it all, still I chose the cross. And you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours. And I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far home, baby. You're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me. Baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me.
Thanks, Justin, man.
Thank you.
That is
Appreciate it.
awesome, you guys. I'm
We try
getting
to
my
listen and catch up on all the
Facebook right back
comments
here,
at the
yeah.
same time.
catching up right here.
Lisa wants
I'm live,
everyone to know
good
that
to
they
go.
shop a lot in Branson when
They
they're
do
there.
shop a lot in
Yeah,
Branson?
Yeah.
Any good deals?
It's usually like around Thanksgiving.
It's an outlet mall.
It is.
I mean, anyway, no
Just
triggers.
another
We'll go away from
example.
shopping. I'm getting my Amazon thumbs getting twitchy. I'm gonna order something accidentally.
Okay, in right in line with what we're doing tonight, we have a fun little serenity prayer for you as we wrap up the evening.
Yeah.
And so Russell, one of our leaders, who you guys heard a leader interview a few weeks back, he is really good at this too. He takes like hunting trips with the guys and
Does all kinds of
he
stuff
does.
all the time.
He kayaks a lot. He
Yeah.
is really good at it. And from the moment we met Russell and Ashley at New Heights, when we first got there and they got involved, they were really good at being intentional about doing stuff, building friendships. And so in true King fashion, Russell and Jed, who leads Celebrate Recovery at Christian Life Cathedral, and another friend of theirs, Matt, they went on a fun guys trip. Chad has a picture up to, of all places, I think, South Dakota. What is this called? Like the Devil's Peak? Or...
I don't know. I mean, this is a picture of them. They're just hanging out like by the Devil's Tower or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it's
don't
called.
condone the Devil's Tower.
But here they are. And so without further ado, they are going to give us the
Here,
serenity.
I'll pull them down a little bit.
The serenity prayer for the
Serenity
night.
prayer. Here it goes. Here, I'm going to bring it up right here.
I'm Jed. And I'm Russell.
I'm Matt.
We're going to do the serenity prayer. So God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, and not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever and the next. Amen.
I I like that ending.
I think they might have done it in one take. I want to get feedback from them. Did that take several takes? Because I think we got the words and we can't get through the 12 steps.
They did a really good job.
That was impressive,
They must have
man.
it memorized.
That was good. Of course, I mean,
they are
Jed
quite
was driving.
literally driving back from their man trip today.
Yep.
And I was like, hey guys, this is going to fit perfectly with what we're doing tonight. Will you guys do it? And they immediately sent it back.
pretty good, man.
Really great. And we really
Impressive.
appreciate that. But
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're talking about. When's the last time you, with some healthy and safe people who are good influence, who are also in process, who understand the concepts of CR that you're going through, when's the last time you did something fun with them? And why not do it soon?
I'm convicted. I need to ride my bike with some people, and I was supposed to go down and have some lunch with some couple guys a couple weeks ago, and we didn't do it, and it kind of fell apart, but we got to do it, you guys. Let's do it.
And my whole plan was to get Chad back in community. It's
What?
working.
What were you saying?
It's good. This worked.
She was saying something.
Great.
What is happening?
All right.
Anyway.
That's our service for tonight. We really miss seeing you guys. We hope that you make intentional effort to connect in relationship this week. And
I heard it now. I heard it. You said you were trying to get me back in community.
Chad's going to have the closing last word. See you guys next week, Sundays at 6.
Sundays at 6. So glad you guys were here and got to share this time with us. And it feels like we're connected in some ways, even this way, with the comments and everything. It feels good, doesn't it, Ange?
Yes.